just like spend the next 5 minutes to talk about the open source projects and public institutions and the relationships between those. And when we talk about open source and public institutions, we usually learn about, or we talk about applications they use, right? How they move from Microsoft to something like Open Cloud or what have you. But we rarely talk about the software that they actually build and the open source components that they use when building that software, right? And as it turns out, I'm a member of the team that builds, a component that's widely used all across the globe, the Spring framework. I'm not sure if anyone has heard of that. It's a Java application framework, so every company that's using Java is kind of, or assumingly, using Spring. And it's not companies, and not only companies, it's also public institutions in Germany. And when those public institutions are customers of the company that I work for, we sometimes get into collaboration with those engineering teams at those public institutions. For example, I've just talked outside to Klaus from the open source office in Munich. So there's a commercial relationship between them and, again, the company I work for. But and we do quite a lot of stuff, like in terms of presenting roadmaps, learning what they do, reviewing their code bases, for example, for idiomatic usage. And I asked myself, like, why does it have to be such a one-to-one relationship? Because for one, it's like tedious or effortful for us as open source project, basically abstracting from the concrete Spring thing here, for the open source projects to find out about public institutions actually making use of us. And on the other hand, why is it so hard for the public institutions that are usually not like browsing GitHub for cool components to get in exchange with other public institutions, to learn from them how they actually use the software and what they can learn from each other, basically using open source software in the software they write. So it's, for one, it's the discovery aspect, right? So who's using what? I just occasionally learn from someone else presenting on, I don't know, the GA Lotse project, for example, something in the health department of the city of Frankfurt. Oh, there's some Git repo somewhere. I just go there, look at it, and find out, oh, they're using Spring. And I can get in touch with them, basically find out what they do, what they want to do, find some issues they might have run into, or what have you, help them basically in just some immediate way. And on the other hand, for the public institutions, how do they find out who to talk to when they're using React, when they're using Spring, when they're using Django, what have you, right? So that would be something that, okay, we could improve on. For the open source projects, it's interesting to see what they what others do with them, right? Whether what kind of software is actually built with these projects. For the institutions, it could be very interesting to learn about the idiomatic usage. Maybe we've just we don't have the most experienced developers, so it might be helpful to get the insight from us who have seen a lot of other companies and institutions using our software to basically recommend them, oh, you should build it that way, or you should build it this way. The institutions could learn from each other, right? We've built server applications with technology X. You're planning to do that as well. Let's talk to each other. And there's also like the other kind of in the other direction, basically. The city of Munich has an open source sabbatical program where they allow their employees to work on open source software for a period of time and basically contribute back features that they want to see in the open source projects and what have you. What it's basically about is deepening the relationship between the projects that we probably have a lot of contributors here or maintainers, and we probably also have members of these kinds of institutions here. And I would love to find some way to institutionalize that kind of exchange. I'm not sure whether Zendis might be a good starting point for that, but they already host a lot of code that these institutions make public. And I'm pretty sure that in other open source projects, there's similar interest to help and reach out and connect just to move the public sector forward, especially here in Germany. So I'll be around today and tomorrow. So I'm the short guy with the hat. If that's not enough to find me, there's this Mastodon thing. Thank you very much.